If you are a streamer, if you're a content creator, using social media is important to help grow because if you are a streamer, if you're a content creator and you're doing it with the purpose of making money, you probably have heard using social media is important to help grow because of the reach that you would have versus the lack of reach you might have on the social platform you're streaming on. A little over 4 billion active social media users, and the average person is spending about 2.5 hours a day, every single day. So there is a gigantic opportunity to be able to find people, show them your content, and really drive them to the platform that you're trying to grow, the business that you're trying to grow, whether that is Twitch, whether that is Facebook gaming, or whether that is YouTube and YouTube gaming. There's a lot of things that you need to think about when you first start doing it. The very first thing is you need to make a plan, and this has to be where you start. You shouldn't just go into it and just say, I'm gonna start posting some random stuff here and I'm gonna be good. And that's not really how you should do it if you want to be organized, if you really want to make the most of it. So you need to create SMART goals, like specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So that allows you to more accurately gauge if what you're doing is working. You want to make sure that you're researching the competition on social media to see what people who do what you do, what kind of posts that they are making, what formats they're making it in, what kind of content they're putting up there. Not because you want to copy it, but because you want to get an idea of what works and what doesn't for them, especially if what they do on their streaming platform is similar to what you do. You also want to make sure that you're making some kind of a calendar so that you know what you need to post and when you need to post it. One of the biggest things about making your plan is being consistent. People expect consistency. A platform like TikTok, which has 1 billion active users, you can easily just get lost in that. So you have to post 1, 2, 3, 4 times a day in order for that repetition to really work in your favor, so that people can say, oh, him again. Oh, let me click on it. That was funny, or whatever. Or that was sucked. Let me write in a comment that sucked. Whatever it is, it's still engagement. You need to make sure that you're being consistent. So that's all part of your plan. It all goes to helping you grow. The next thing you need to do is you need to know your audience and you need to grow your audience. So part of knowing your audience ties into the first step directly. It's understanding what platform you're going to be active on. There are a bunch of platforms that you could work on, but they're not all going to be right for you depending on what you do. The common idea right now is that Facebook, the demographic is getting older. Maybe that isn't right for you depending on what type of stream that you have out there. So you need to do a little bit of research into what kind of content is most popular on the various social platforms, and then decide which 1 or 2 or 3 or all of them will work for you. And then another part of that is understanding your audience. So, if you are going to be playing something that seems to have demographics of, people in the age of like 18 to 21 or 18 to 30 or whatever it is, you need to make sure that you're making your content for people that are going to consume it, that are that demographic. And then we're talking about expanding your audience, growing your audience. You need to look at what is working once you put it out there to get an idea of, okay, I tried a few of this style of video and I didn't really get a lot of engagement, or I put these pictures up and yeah, people really seem to like them and comment on it. There was a lot of engagement. Let me do more of that style. Now, you don't want to always do a specific style because people will grow tired of it, and when they grow tired of it, when they assume that that's all that you do, they won't necessarily check back when you start changing it up. So you need to periodically change up the kind of things you do. Maybe you're somebody that has a little bit more of an eclectic taste and you're always doing something completely different. Then in that you find that that's working for you. So it's kind of the opposite. You probably want to continue being eclectic. You probably don't want to try to do something that is the same time after time, because people might not want to see that. One thing you need to realize is that people are very fickle because they have so many opportunities, so many alternatives to your content that they can take a look at. The third point is knowing the trends. Now, you'll notice that I didn't say follow the trend necessarily, but you need to understand the trends, because when people go on to social media, there's going to be, like, let's take TikTok for example. Somebody creates a video, a lot of people like it, so then like thousands and thousands or maybe millions of people start creating very similar videos. But maybe that style, that trend isn't going to work for you, or maybe you just don't feel comfortable doing that trend, so then don't do it. But you need to pay attention to the trends, because when a trend really starts to blow up, people will watch everything related to that trend. So it's a real opportunity for you to make your own version of that trend, put it out there, and get some new eyes on your content that maybe weren't there before. Now, the one cool thing about following trends, it is always different, right? It's always a different thing that's happening. So, I was saying a few minutes ago, if you're always doing the same kind of content and people grow tired of it, they stop coming back. But if you are following trends, then you're always doing something a little bit different, and so people might appreciate that. You don't want to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable or that you don't feel like you're being genuine in, because it will be very apparent to other people, and it really won't resonate with them, and then they're not going to enjoy your content and they're not going to come back. So the next one is quality over quantity. And I can't stress this one enough. Just throwing out a ton of content just for the sake of throwing out a ton of content, thinking that is what's going to get people's attention, is a mistake. I did say earlier that it is important to get, if we're again using TikTok as an example, 1, 2, 3, 4 posts a day out there to get in front of people's face. I stand by that, but only if you can do a quality job. If you don't think that what you put out is really good, if you don't really like what you did, then don't post it. If you don't like it, chances are that other people aren't going to like it. It's more important to spend a little bit of extra time and put out something that is really good than people are really going to like, than put out a bunch of crap that people are just going to ignore. Because if you do that for long enough, people will just start to tune you out. Even people that liked what you did before, because they're gonna be like, oh man, this person is really going downhill because their stuff is just no good. It just doesn't look like they put a lot of effort into it. And so it's not going to work out for you. Now, I'm sure there are going to be people who are watching this who are going to say, yeah, but I spent like 2 hours on this one TikTok and I got like 10 views. And that person would be me. But it's still the right thing to do. It's still the right thing to do, is focusing on quality over quantity. So the last point that I have is schedule and track. There's a lot packed into this. So I mentioned before about making a schedule, so that you know what you're going to post. And that is definitely important to do. Like I said, if you're going to be posting 1 to 3 things a day and you want to keep it kind of fresh, you need to figure out what type of things you're going to post, especially to the different social media. You don't necessarily want to post the same thing to every platform. You want to do what works on that platform, not just for you, but what works in general on that platform. And when you're figuring out what you want to post, and you're posting to multiple platforms during the course of a day or during the course of a week, the best way for you to handle this without getting lost and making sure you're doing what you're doing correctly is you need to go ahead and create a schedule. And so, okay, on Monday, I'm going to post 3 different things to TikTok. I'm going to post 1 thing to Instagram, and I'm going to make a couple tweets. And even more specifically than that, you should probably figure out what kind of thing you're going to post on each of those platforms, so that you're not just replicating or duplicating what you did before, so you're keeping it kind of fresh. The other thing about the schedule and track is the track. Analytics are so big. Analytics are your friend. You need to get used to looking at the data and understanding how the data works and realizing what it means when you're looking at it. So when you see one demographic kind of pulling away from the others in terms of it's really driving your growth, you need to pay attention to that and start making content that works. Again, you need to do stuff that works for you, that is still being genuine to you, but you need to make sure that you're paying attention to what your audience likes, what your viewers like, what your community likes, because that is how you're going to expand them and start attracting new people. On YouTube, for example, and same with TikTok, is if you post something and it does well initially, they start pushing it out to more people. If it doesn't do well initially, they don't, and it just sits and dies. So, you know, YouTube pays attention to that, TikTok pays attention to that. Those are very analytically heavy, AI driven platforms that do nothing but look at data and look at trends. So it's definitely important to make sure you're paying attention to that too. So if you're following these steps, you're making your plan, you're understanding who your audience is so you can grow them, you're paying attention to trends so you can stay on top of them and post something if it makes sense for you. If you're taking your time and making sure that you're putting up multiple quality posts a day, and you're scheduling these things so that you're consistent and you're looking at the data, the analytics to know what is working and what isn't, you will put yourself in the best possible position to make social media work for you, drive traffic to your streaming platform, and now you might have a real thing going. So there you go. That's how you're going to make social media work for you.